All right, everybody, guess what we're doing today? We are going to take this out of its CBCS slab, and it's going to be cleaned and pressed and submitted to CGC. And really, this is just a reed holder. Now, the grading on CBCS is generally fairly consistent with that of CGC. The difference is CGC consistently has a higher value. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and take this out, examine it. I've looked at it fairly closely. It's got a few things that can be cleaned up. The back is filthy through here. It has a tide line, well, not a tide line, but a dust line at the top. And it's got a water stain down here at the bottom. We'll take a look at it, see if we're going to tackle the water stain, if it's really ruined the paper or not. All in all, I think this book has potential for maybe half a grade bump, but not much. So we have our handy slab cracking tool, courtesy of Snap-on Tools. So we'll go ahead and start with this. Now, on the CBCS slabs, this is one of the older ones. It's got two tab slots right here at the bottom. And all we have to do is hear that crack. That's one. That's the other one. Makes a horrible sound. But this is how we get into the slabs without really making a mess of things. So, you know, CGC, they have their own way of getting into these slabs. I've showed you that on some of my videos. I'm just trying to get a gap in here so I can slide the screwdriver in. There we go. Okay, let's get this one up. That's the sound. All right, so what we've done now, hopefully you can see this on the camera, is we've separated and created a gap in here. So all we have to do is just pop the corners and we can start working our way up through here. There we go. So you gotta remember there's an inner well to this, and we don't, it would be very challenging, and I'd really have to screw up and slip pretty bad with the screwdriver to damage the book. So we'll go ahead and just work our way around here. That's enough. Just get my fingers in, and we will just continue to pop this out like that. Okay, so now we have our pieces out. We'll save the label because this will be needing to be removed from the CBCS census. So that's for them. Now, there's some questions that popped up. So when do you send these in? Do you send it in with the book saying, hey, CBCS graded this as 5.0? No, we don't want to do that. What we want to do is send that in after the fact. That way there's an impartial judge here. Now, CGC, when they do the books, when they do the reholdering, they don't really take this into consideration at all. In fact, they will record it, but they will separate it from the grader. So the grader will not see the previous grade. At least that's how it's supposed to work. Okay, I'll get my surgery tools, and we'll come back and we'll take this book out and take a closer look at it. Okay, now I know many of you are impatient like I am, so this video is being shot in its entirety. Meaning, if you're seeing it for the first time, I've already gotten this book back from CGC, and you're going to see the whole transformation in one video. Okay, so I got a side, and we will slice through. Maybe the top would be easier. So just make sure there's a gap in there. Not much one there. So maybe we'll just go ahead and do this lower well here. And I am using a scalpel, a number 23 scalpel. It is my sharp object of choice. There we go. So I already have access to the book, and wow, I'm glad we took this out of the slab, actually, because it really looks terrible. So let's get this over here. And I'm just going to slice the bottoms, basically this side half, so we can just kind of lift the back panel out without doing any damage. All right, so there we have it. We have our access to the book here. Just fold the flap out and gently we'll slide this out here. So let's take a look at this, and you can see some of the raking lines. It's got some good shine to it. There's some staining here. Again, here's this moisture stain, and it does go through the paper. So this is not going to come out. That is just going to be there, as are the dust marks. Now let's go ahead and take out the center film here. Now I'm looking at this, the bottom staple is detached here. I'm actually really surprised at the grade here. So let's take a look at the notes. Okay, so I've got the grader's notes for the book. Now it says it's 5.0. It says spine wear and stress breaks color. Well, I can't argue with that. General cover wear and bends, soiling, and creases. I agree with all that too. Definitely on the back cover. 1/2-inch tears and small tears top edge, small chip off the back cover. Okay. 3/4 inch stain bottom left back cover. That's this one we talked about. But no notes on the bottom staple being detached. So either it became detached over time inside the slab, or CBCS missed it. Regardless, we are stuck with it. So I'm looking at in here, we have some spots in here. I also see some light staining and a little bit of foxing on the cover. So let's take a look at this. So far I have to take back what I said about the grading. Everything looks fairly solid in here. The book looks solid. The colors are white. I don't see any reason to do anything to any of these pages, but I do want to get to here, this center wrap. And its staple is completely torn through right here, unfortunately. All right. There's not much we can do unless I want to conserve this. So we would definitely take a hit on the detached staple. That's a big ding. So this is a really nice book. So the only thing I could see right here would be doing a staple hole reinforcement here. The book is dirty. We have some staining through here, the chips at the top. We can lighten this. There's a texture right here. It goes from smooth to really rough. So I don't know what got into this back cover, but I don't see how we're going to have a great improvement with a CPR. So I think what we're going to do is just do a cleaning and maybe conserve this book and go for a high grade conserved. I think we can definitely get it above a 5, but it would be someplace maybe a 6 or 6.5 conserved. But all in all, the book looks pretty good. I would say that that center wrap, because there's paper missing there and there was nothing inside the slab, I think they just missed it. We've got a date stamp here on the cover for February 13th. It's a pretty book, don't get me wrong. The cover's got some really nice gloss. It's got some really terrible color breaks. So I think what we're going to do is go ahead and conserve this, fix any of the tears, and just overall clean this up and see how it looks when we're done. Okay, so let's get started here. I have my tools here. I have my eraser bag and dust brush and my staple removal tools here, and a scalpel just in case we have a tight staple. And we always label top and bottom because we are going to take the staples out so we can address a lot of the things in this book. So if we're going to conserve this book, we're going to fix the tears. So let's go ahead and get to the center of everything, really. Right there. And since we already know this wrap is loose, we're going to start right here at the top. Now, I'm going to promote these. I found these on Instagram. They are awesome. They come with all sorts of different sets of lenses. They are detachable. I don't sell these in my store. I just do a search on Instagram for them. Just throw away all the rest of the lenses. Put the most powerful lenses on, I believe the 3.5s, and just go with that. But these are awesome. All right, so unpaid promotion done. What I want to do now is we're going to take the Flawless Staple Tool from Immaculate Comics. I like to use Rick's tools. I'll try to keep my head out of here. And I'm looking at the staple. We don't want to tear it. It's pressed down pretty hard into the book. So I'm going to go with a Teflon coated spatula and see if I can get under it. I cannot. Not without marring the paper. So come down to our scalpel. Now I'm going to go in and we're going to use the back side. All I want to do is just pry this up just enough to get the other tools in. And we don't want to stab our book. All right, so I think we've got this loosened up enough. I can just tip this up, and I'm not going to straighten this up to a pure 90 degree. All we want to do is loosen the staple up to the point where we can actually remove it. Okay, so let's work on this top staple again. So I've got it loose from the bottom, so that allows me to just get an edge in here. And we definitely don't want to slip here. One, I don't want to cut myself. And two, I really don't want to cut the book. All right. So we're getting closer. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to take my Flawless Staple Tool and we're going to bend this up at about a 60-degree angle. And same with the lower. Now, this is what we do because if we go with a straight 90, you're going to tear up the paper around the staple hole, which is what we don't want to do. So what I prefer to do is actually take the staple and rotate it through. I'll push down on one leg. And in this case, it's going to be a top. And that way, I can push the staple through. We're not going to tear up the paper, which is what we don't want to do. We're just going to rotate this all the way around. And our staple is removed. No paper torn. Okay, so we brought it out like this. So I now know the orientation. This is the top, this is the bottom. We want to maintain the orientation. So I'm going to go ahead and peel this back. And right where it says T, guess what? That goes right there. And at the end, and we get all the staples, the two staples out, they'll all get, this piece will get glued to the back of the backer board. So we already know this wrap is detached. So let's take a closer look at it. Yeah, it's got quite a large hole. And there's the paper's not around. So I think maybe CBCS just decided that give it a pass. I don't know. Okay, so let's set this aside for the time being. Now, here's our bottom staple. Let's go ahead and work on this. Now this one is already kind of loose in the paper. Again, it's kind of 60-degree angles. Same process. Just push down. In this case, I'm going to push down on the top. That's the shorter leg. And just rotate this all the way through. No paper torn again. All right, so again, I said the top was the shortest leg, so we'll go ahead and put this under B, like this. And the backer board, we'll go ahead and pull that out now. And take this whole thing, staples and all, glued to the blue tape. That way, because you know I work on multiple projects at the same time, so this will help keep this handy. We'll slide this in the back of the bag for the time being. So as far as I know, the only thing we need to work on really is the cover for pressing, and we'll have to put some paper here in the center wrap, reinforce that bottom staple. Take a look at the top staple. Yeah, it's barely hanging in there, so that's probably going to tear through at any time. All right, we do have some fold creases in here. That's actually a production problem. CGC does not downgrade for that. All right, so we have all of our center wraps. Now you can see it's picked up some imprints here from, I see the bodybuilder dude there. So it's just over time imprinted itself onto here. Okay, so we're not going to work on these. So we're going to go ahead and slide these in and they'll stay protected. Now let's take a look at this cover. All right, I'm looking at this. The staple holes look okay. The paper is very, very weak through here. That would be your blunted corner, that notch there. You have one at the bottom, so that's your giveaway that you have some rounded corners. It's quite wrinkly, surprisingly, with the grade that they gave it. And you know, I am a harsh grader, so yeah, it still looks really, really nice. So I think what we'll do is we'll do some dry cleaning on the back cover here. This tide line will not come out, unfortunately. The front cover looks really good. Okay, let's get set up and do some dry cleaning. Okay, so my go-to cleaning items, I use a dry erase pencil, which works great for getting in a little crevices, but this has an overall filth to it. It's hard to see on the camera, but we have dark marks here. But I wish to maintain the gloss of the book. So my go-to bag is from Line Co. It's full of eraser shavings. I could squeeze this, they'll fall out onto the book like this. A lot of your top conservators, and I'm going to call out Kenny Sanderson. He uses this. I use it. Dr. Paul, he uses it. Phantom Phil, all my colleagues. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this. We're just gently rolling around super microfine, high quality erasers, shavings. The dirt is coming right off the back here. just as I thought it was. I'm not really pushing any pressure on this at all. And I'm staying inside the edges. So we're just working on the inside. I'm making a little bit of circles in here. And now that the cover's off, I can lay it flat. So I can clean everything. But the spine is always the filthy part. You know, that's where the oil from your hands and everything else gets in here and just makes a mess of the inks and the glosses. So what I also do here to maintain the gloss, because if you think about it, what do you do if you want to polish metal or anything like that? You sand it with a smaller and smaller grit of sandpaper to the point where you're actually polishing. Now, we don't want to polish through the gloss, just like you wouldn't want to polish through the gloss on your car. So after we're done here, we're going to burnish and shine this book. And you ask, Larry, what do you use to burnish? Well, you know, one of my favorite go-to things is a Swifter pad. Go to Walmart, get yourself a Swifter. It's got enough abrasive that it will, if you just run nice circles in it, you will burnish your book and polish it up. You know, be careful, of course. And Larry is not responsible if you screw up your book. Okay, so this back cover is actually looking really nice. All this dirt has come up just fine. I'll switch over here and do the front of the cover. So what we're gonna do is I got a horsehair brush. I used to do a lot of drafting when I was a younger guy, and when we actually used pencils and ink and actually drew. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Let's take a quick look at it. I'll hold it up into a raking light. That looks wonderful. Very nice. Okay. All right, let's just turn this around, and we're going to do the same thing to the front. Again, we don't want to put a lot of pressure. I mean, we are just erasing the filth off the top. Now, one of my other fellow colleagues and a friend of the comic book world is Rick Morgan over at Immaculate Comics. Rick has a wonderful wet solution called mmaculate. And it's his own chemical makeup, and Rick is always striving to improve and make things easier for us in the conservation community and you at home. I'm not going to use any mmaculate, so this is just a dry clean. There's no reason to get this wet. Okay. All right, now let's take a look at the interior pages. Now, these generally aren't dirty, but just for a good measure, I'm just gonna rub this in the middle and see if anything comes up. I don't expect it will, because this tanning is basically the tannins from the interior wraps transfer over to this nice white cover. Now in here in the middle, you can see it's nice and kind of bright white, but yet out here, it's not. Again, that's just, you know, paper to paper contact, and it just transfers the tannins. Now I do have some spots in here. I don't know what they are. I could speculate that maybe it got wet or something. We know it got wet from something down here in this lower corner. But I don't see any change in this, so I don't see any reason to risk doing any damage to the book further. Okay, so what we're going to do is examine this one more time. We do have some chips. We do have a very, very weak spine in here. It's got a lot of horizontal cracking, which is common when the book is, together and somebody breaks the spine. We have a lot of color breaking spine ticks here. So this will go in the humidity chamber, and we're going to press it flat. And when we do that, it will moisten in here. Everything will go just stark flat, and then we can plan on doing a re-roll to fit it back onto the comic itself. And this will take out all of the defects for the most part. All right, that's it for right now, and we'll come back to it.
And if you haven't tuned in to our live show yet, Dr. Paul from Liberty Hill Comics, Phantom Phil from Phantom Restorations, and myself, we have a live chat. We take your questions. We answer as many as we possibly can. And we try to choose interesting topics for the evening to talk about regarding comic conservation, preservation, and restoration. So please join us. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.